G'day, my name is Dylan. This is PlyCreations and a very warm welcome as always to my workshop. Today's episode 2 of the build process on the mobile base, so welcome. As I mentioned at the end of the previous episode, I had to split it in two due to the amount of footage that I've accumulated in the process. I'll leave the link to episode 1 on the screen as well as in the description. And after the intro, we will take up where we left off. So, welcome and enjoy the episode. So as you can see by the color of my t-shirt, it's the next day. I've had the base clamped up overnight and now I'm about to install the back panel onto the assembly. On the other camera I'm going to show you how I go about doing it. With the middle of my two sections marked, I'm going to carry the line on the back panel along its full width. And what that allows me to do is place the back panel up against the base and then align them up. Sorry, before I continue with that, I'm going to be marking out the spacing on the base before I continue. I'm going to go split from the distance from the edge to the middle and then from that edge so that I have 3 dominoes in total. That is roughly 19, so that's going to give me 9.5 and 9.5 from the other side. So now I have the positions where I want to place the dominoes. I line up my back panel to the base and I carry the marks that I've made up the base or the side of it and carry those marks down to the edge and then over the top, as I'll be using the marks on the narrow edge or on the top as my reference. So now I have the positions marked for both the base as well as the back panel to be able to install the dominoes and the loose tenons. On the side sections of the frame, I'm going to go back to dowels in that case again. Okay, so I've done a dry fit, and on the close-up on the other camera you'll notice that there's something wrong. So you'll see there's a gap after I've clamped everything together, and something must have shifted during the glue-up process yesterday. I'm going to show you quickly how I fix this, and my solution might surprise you a little bit. I have to bring the core section and the high section here in line with this area here, and this is where you saw the gap. You'll notice that as I get to the end of the stroke, I do swing the hand plane around, and that's to avoid for it to burst out at the other end. I've got everything clamped up and dry fitted, and you'll see on the close-up camera that the gap is gone. A hand plane is almost a shockingly efficient way of getting joints to sit flush, even on something like plywood. So I'm going to be gluing up, have a cup of coffee while it sets up. Onto the tops. Now that's typical. As I finished my glue up and started clamping both the cameras that I have set up, the batteries died. I wasn't able to show you the clamping process. Not only that, I recently wrote an article, and I'll leave the link in the description, about how I manage slippage during lamination so that the parts don't move around. I did mention that I didn't particularly like Cauls, clamping Cauls. And guess what I had to use to clamp to my workbench top. I'm going to grab the other camera and I'm quickly going to walk you through how I've got everything clamped up. And there you have it, 3 clamping cauls across the top and my bench top providing the opposing pressure. Indeed, the largest work holding jig in one's workshop. Now I need to install the dowels into the backplate, and once that is done we need to do the doubler at the bottom, and then we can start installing the hardware. Final part of the construction is to add the doubler at the bottom. I'm taking the size of the doubler directly from the base and I am laminating the doubler using Dominos. I'm not going to bore you with that process again. So the next time I see you, we'll be installing the hardware and start finalizing this project. So a quick sand and then I see you for the hardware installation. And so it goes, the best laid plans of mice and men. It will teach me not to prototype something on YouTube. I wanted to attach the doubler to the base using the domino, and again realized that the domino isn't always the best solution. So I had to revert to using dowels, and I'm showing a video now where I go through the process, and you'll also see me apply a lick of finish. My favorite finish to use in the workshop, and I'll leave a link in the description on my recipe. You can go and read more on my websites about that one. But moving on to the installation of the hardware finally, and I'll see you at the bench and I'll quickly show you the hardware I'm going to be installing and how I'm going to go about doing so. So I'll see you at the bench. Welcome to the bench and the installation of the first set of hardware on our project. I'll be installing the stationary wheels first. They're not stationary, it's a bit of a misnomer. The wheel turns just fine, but the frame is attached to the base and the wheel doesn't swivel. So I'm going to be attaching the first wheel here and then of course on the opposing side as well. Rather than measure it out, I'm using my rule as a guide and a spacer. Then I will mark the positions of where I'd like to drill the holes using my awl. That just helps the brad point of the drill bit to center as well. I'll be adding a backing board to this so that I protect the opposing face against spelching. When the mobile base is upright, that's going to be a show face, so I don't want to really see damage on that side. I am attaching the whole assembly using a hex head bolt as well as a using a not a spacer, a washer and a nut. I do feel that there isn't enough material in 18mm ply to put in a wood screw or a self tapper and provide the necessary strength to the attachment point. So I'll be putting down a through hole, and I'm doing the same on the lifting casters as well. So I'm doing the front wheels, then we'll go on to the stabilizing feet, and once we have that all sorted out, we level the base and then we determine where the lifting casters will need to go. So first step is the front wheels and then moving on from there. The wheels are on and we're moving on to the legs, and that's what they look like. On the other camera I'll show you, you'll see a T-nut and I'll be screwing these into it. I need to drill a hole perpendicular to the bottom of the base, and I will be installing and securing the T-nut with 2-minute epoxy. So first of all we're going to drill the holes, install the T-nuts, then put in the feet, and then we can carry on with the adjustment of the lifting casters to make sure that the base stays level when the machine is installed. So drilling, installing, and then adjustments. thus we reach another day in the build. As a quick recap, just going to go over what we've done to this point. Of course, we've built the base, installed the stationary wheels, as well as the feet and the T-nuts that they screw into. Next, I need to determine where the lifting casters need to be positioned to be able to pop the mobile base up only very slightly, and so that you can start pushing the machine around. Best way that I found to do that is to put the base on my workbench, level the base using the feet, and then clamping the lifting casters to the black plain board to decide where I need to have the height just to pop it up. I don't want to lift the base too high when I pop up the wheels or push down on the lifting wheels, because I don't want to inadvertently topple the machine on top of me. So it really just needs to lift very slightly. On the other camera, you'll see what I've done. In the process of the build, I've actually inadvertently caused myself two issues. One is the base is too high, and therefore I need to bring the lifting casters up further or down further than I was expecting. I was hoping to install them into this area here and have the wheels outboard of the weights of the machine, and as a result provide more stability. Because I need to come down further than I was expecting to, there's no meat here for me to attach the lifting casters to. So bar putting in more wood and gluing in more wood and strengthening that section, I probably won't be able to install the wheels there. And secondly, I am then installing the wheels at where the feet go into the bottom of the base, which means the T-nut is in the way of the screws. So I'm going to need to carefully position as far outboard as I possibly can. On the close-up camera, I'm showing you the position that I've decided to put the lifting casters. As I mentioned, I want to have them as far outboard as I can. And if I align the caster as it is now, I've taken the wheel off just to make it easier for me to work. That hole there, the one closest to the camera, will clear the T-nut. I'm not so sure about the middle. I'll need to check that. And the right-hand side will clear as well. I'm showing you the screw on the close-up camera that I'll be using to do the installation. It is quite a long self-tapper, and it comes with the casters. You may recall when we installed the other wheels that I said that I didn't want to go through the material or into the material with a self-tapper because there wasn't enough meat there to be able to hold it securely. However, in this case, I will be going into the side of the plywood sheet. So there is quite a bit of material for me to go into, and I'm not all that worried about using the wood screws. I have created myself a little bit of a problem though. In the position where I am now, the top left-hand hole is going to go into the upright for the side frames. Again, I have enough meat there, and on the right hand side of that I will likely then drill a through hole and use again a bolt and a nut to secure. I'll be drilling pilot holes, and there I dropped a screw. I'll be drilling pilot holes to easily install the screws, and quickly do that, and I'll show you on the other camera how I go about doing that and get the hardware or the final sections of hardware installed. So have a look on the other camera. That brings us to the end of the construction phase, and I'm quickly on the other camera going to show you how it works. So you'll just step on the levers. That pops the wheels up and allows you to push the mobile base around. Once you have it in position, you pop these back up and it's standing, and with the weight of the machine it's probably not going to go anywhere. All I need now is to find somebody to help me put the pedestal drill on top of the mobile base. It's a little bit heavy for me to handle it by myself. I'll do another video once I have the machine on top and I'll show you how it works. So, and be sure to watch until the end of this video because I'll probably show it at the end. If you'd like to get access to the build plan and step-by-step instructions, I'll leave the link to be able to get access to that on the screen and in the description. Have a look on the website and follow the instructions, and I'll send you a copy of the plan. So be sure to watch until the end to see the mobile base in action. But as always, thank you so much for joining me here on my channel, and I hope to see you again around here soon. I hope you have a good one. Cheers, and be safe in your own workshop. Cheers. Finally found somebody to help me put the pedestal drill on the base. And the way it works is it's now standing on the feet, so therefore it's stationary. Stepping on the levers will lift the base up. I can then push and pull and move it to where I need it to be. I cannot get my feet in under the lever with the wheel in the way, so you can either kick it out of the way and lift it like so, or get your fingers in and pop it up. If it seems a little bit difficult to pop it up and drop it down again, it is, but it is improving as I've been using it during the day, so hopefully over time it will improve and get better. I'll bring you into the bench again and we'll quickly have a chat around what I've found with the machine on top and what I might change going forward. So I'll see you at the bench. So I've been lifting and dropping that base all day and spending some quality time with my drill press, pushing it all over my workshop. And it works well. I'm really impressed with the rolling base. 3 things I'd like to change. It's not as low down to the ground as I'd like it to be, and the best way to amend that or fix it using my current hardware on the next build is I'll probably increase the width of my side panels on the frame, and that will bring the rolling base closer to the ground. Second is I wanted to mount the lifting casters further outboard to provide a little bit more stability. I figured out a way to increase the amount of material that I'll have available on the back panel. I'll make the necessary adjustments on the plan, so by the time you download it, it should be able, or you should be able to follow those instructions and sort that out. And then lastly, I prefer the wheels to be closer to me rather than on the back of the rolling base as I was originally planning to have them. I find it easier to steer the machine around where I want to have it. Issue is I want to make a drawer cabinet to fit under my drill press, and now the wheels are going to be in the way, so I might need to use some creative license in doing that. But apart from that, the construction is sound, it's strong, there's no flex, and I'm seriously doubtful that it will flex any appreciable amount in use. So all in all, really happy. Once again, thank you for joining me on the build. Remember to have a look at the website and go to the link if you'd like to download the plans, and hope you have a good one. Cheers. On the base doesn't swivel. And there goes the dogs. That's Rocky. That's Danny. Rocky is the loudest. He's coming back. You noisy. Yeah, you are.